Well, hey everybody, John Ritlin here, and this is every WrestleMania women's match ranked from worst to best. And yes, I am including the mixed tag matches because they deserve to be talked about. Good or bad, they deserve to be talked about. There's been a host of interesting moments with the women, even in the bad parts, but by and large, when the women's matches have been great, they have equal to or surpassed what the men have done in the ring, especially in the past couple years, and I will get to those. But there have been a lot of throwaway matches, and all that's on WWE Creative. They were like, hey, let's just throw the women out there. No one's really going to care, because they conditioned the fans not to care. And I don't want anybody to forget that, because they conditioned the fans not to care. But as a fellow wrestling fan, to all other fellow wrestling fans and fellow YouTube content creators, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thank you for enjoying these ranking videos. And let's just get on with it. We got 30 matches, and I can cover all this in probably about 30 minutes, because some of these will not take very long. Number 30, the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal at Mania 25. Kid Rock, that no-talent scum piece of shit that he is, sung everybody to the ring, probably earned about 10 times as much as any of the women did in this match, which is unfortunate. But so many women from the past and, current women and all that stuff and everything, hey, get out there and have a Battle Royal and stuff like that. And, oh, yeah, by the way, we're going to make fun of guys that dress in drag by having Santino dress in drag, and he's going to win it. So that is a goddamn slap in the face to all the women. Vince might as well scrap the women's division by that point. I'm not saying I wouldn't say I'm putting women out of work, but by that point it took a couple years for women's wrestling to really be taken seriously. This was fucking rotten. And nothing against Santino. He was just casting a role and this kind of stuff, and it was just stupid. Why the fuck are you going to do this? And I mean, it was no wonder that so many women probably ended up leaving the company soon after. I think Victoria was in this, and this might have been her last appearance, because Victoria went to Impact for a number of years after that, and I mean, rightfully so, because she was actually allowed to wrestle there, and Mickie James was only around for about another goddamn year after this. Year and a half or so. But Santino winning it just highlighted every problem that WWE had. Now, they didn't have a lot of great women's matches in the previous couple WrestleManias. Mickie versus Trish might have been, the last really good one, and then a couple others before that, but this was a chance to say, hey, we can highlight a new star. We can have somebody win. Maybe it can matter. And no, they had Santino dressed like a woman, which, nothing wrong with that, by the way. I have nothing against it. Nothing against that at all. That's not even the point of this. It's the fact that they were making fun of it, and they were making fun of the women and everything, and saying, yep, a man's superior over women. That's the problem I fucking have about this. That was fucking rotten. And I nearly didn't rank this at the bottom, but then when I decided, wait, Santino won. A guy won. Yeah, this is getting ranked at the bottom, because pretty much the second worst one, even though it was one of the worst matches ever, Sable versus Tori at Mania 15. I have never liked Sable. Sable's goddamn rotten. She's a goddamn atrocity in the ring, and never belonged in the wrestling business at all. Not as a valet, not as an in-ring competitor, because she didn't want to get hurt. And look, it's a tough business. Wrestling is tough. That's why, that's why only certain people can do it. That's why I never did. I don't like pain. I don't know too many people that do. But watching Sable in the ring, this was my exact reaction. That was pretty much my expression throughout, watching Sable in the ring. This is before this face became a thing. It was just, it was stupid. And fucking Sable was goddamn atrocious. She was not, in any way attractive at all. And yeah, I'm going to say that she was not. If you guys think Sable was attractive, that's totally fine. But she drew ratings because there were a bunch of idiots that were watching at the time, myself included. But I never liked Sable, and Sable should have never been champion. And yeah, a bunch of shit happened at this Mania that was shit. Number 28, Tori and Sable versus Miss Jackie Gata, and Stacy Keibler in an evening gown match at Mania 20. It was an evening gown tag match, and you featured Sable and Tori. And I like Tori Wilson. I got nothing against Tori Wilson. I got nothing against Stacy. Jackie Gata, got nothing against her. Sable got everything against Sable, because she was rotten and should have never been brought back. After suing the company for sexual harassment, she came back 4 years later. Whatever. Oh well. She met Brock, and she's been out of the business ever since, because they have 2 kids together. Good for them. Just never come back in the wrestling business, you idiot. Yeah, it's an evening gown match. What the fuck do you expect? It was 4 women of varying talent levels, put out there for a few minutes, and yeah, it wasn't very good. It just wasn't. Mania 20 was a really packed show of some shit. Number 27, Tori Wilson versus Candice Michelle, Playboy pillow fight at Mania 22. Let me make this clear. And I praised in my previous rapid fire I praise Candice for improving in the ring from just being look-based, which she was basically hired for her looks, and not knocking her. She improved and got better in the ring and actually became a pretty solid champion, which is something I didn't think was going to be the case, and good for her. Her and Tori were basically put out there to cool down the crowd before the main event. And this match had no placement on the card. I'm sorry, it didn't. Not because of the people involved. It just had no placement in the match. Or on the show. This match had no placement on the show. It took away a few minutes from a match. Oh yeah, that was for the world title, Ray versus Angle versus Orton. That was fucking stupid. And that's not the women's fault. That's creative. That's everybody booking this show. That's their fault. Not knocking Tori and Candice at all, but it was a pillow fight. What the fuck you expect? Number 26, Moolah versus Velvet McIntyre at Mania 2. It was 85 seconds. Velvet McIntyre should have won. Moolah had no goddamn business being the champion at that point. She was a fucking idiot and a fucking piece of shit. And now she's burned in hell for all the goddamn shit that she did to those women. Number 25, Terry versus the Cat in a cat fight with Val Venis as a special guest referee. Now that I don't like the Cat, never did. I never thought she belonged in wrestling. I just, she never seemed like somebody that wanted to be in wrestling either. Just my perception. Sure, she was mainly just out there for her looks, and she was around the age that Jerry Lawler went for. Shocked that he's a creep. Terry Reynolds, got nothing against her. She was never an in-ring competitor, but she could cut a hell of a promo, was a good valet and everything, and is somebody that should be in the Hall of Fame. If you're going to put other people in the Hall of Fame, put Terry Reynolds in the Hall of Fame too. My opinion. I mean, Molly Holly first, but Terry. I have a fondness for Terry because I liked her as Alexandria York in WCW, and I liked her as Marlena in WWE. That's my opinion, though. I'm sticking to it. But, yeah, this was at Mania 2000, and it was a cat fight, and it was two women that really didn't belong in the ring. Though I will give credit for them at least trying, or at least Terry trying. Cat sure didn't. Number 24, first of the mixed tag matches, we get Mark Marrow and Sable versus the Yaris, formerly known as Goldust and Luna Vachon. Luna Vachon should have been champion heading into Mania 15. I'm saying that right there. Sable never belonged in the goddamn ring. Luna was great. Mark Marrow was actually a pretty good athlete, but he was just pretty much killed off like immediately. And he also had injuries and stuff like that, but he was a good athlete, but Sable just never belonged. She never did. She never did, and the fact that Sable was ever given victories over Luna is just baffling to me. Luna is somebody that they should have used better. And it's unfortunate that she's not in the Hall of Fame either. Then we go to number 23. And this is a loaded one here, so forgive me. This is from the Mania 32 pre-show. This is Team Total Divas. So it was Alicia Fox, Eva Marie, Brie Bella, Natalia, and Paige. Yeah, Eva Marie actually got a match at WrestleMania. How sad is that? 2 matches at WrestleMania. Versus Team Bad and Blonde, Emma, Lana, Naomi, Summer Rae, and Tamina. It was a throwaway. It was also Lana's first match. Lana, did what she could. I don't think Lana's really cut out to be in the ring, but I will give her credit for at least trying. Eva, I do give her credit for trying to improve. It just wasn't working. This is Brie Bella's last match for almost 2 years because she would go off to have a baby with Daniel, and they seem happy together, and Brie should never be back in the ring. This was just a throwaway match, though. It's unfortunate because there was some good talent in here, but except for Tamina. I'm sorry, Tamina just isn't very good. She's not, and neither was Eva Marie. I mean, but Emma, it's just unfortunate. This was I think this was Emma's only, this was one of Emma's only Mania matches. In fact, I think it actually was, and that's just really sad for a talent like her. It was a throwaway 10-woman tag match. Sad as it is to say. And number 22, Morrison, Trish, and Snooki. Yeah, the Snooki match. Versus Ziggler and LayCool, Michelle McCool and Layla. I love Layla. LayCool's a pretty good, duo, even though it was a ripoff of the Beautiful People from, Impact. This is also the famous one where I guess apparently Morrison wasn't very happy that it was Trish and not Melina in the ring. I don't know if that's actually the case. It does seem like it because he didn't really want to celebrate with her. And Snooki got the pin. Snooki. Yeah, this should have been ranked actually lower now that I think about it. I will give credit to Snooki for trying. She seemed to actually try to get to improve in the ring and actually try to do well. But yeah, this was bad. This was really bad. But yeah, the other mixed tag match will come up later. We get now for number 21, Trish versus Christy Hemme at Mania 21, and look, One, that was not intentional for the symmetrical, people out there, but it was supposed to be Trish versus Lita. Lita hurt her knee and actually blew it out and was not able to wrestle for a number of months. Christy tried. She tried. Just put Victoria in there. Because there was Christy Hemme had no business being in the wrestling ring at this point. She did improve and actually did okay in Impact until she suffered a neck injury. And thankfully was able to make a full recovery and everything, but decided not to get back into wrestling. In the ring at least. And just do announcing. But anyway, this was not good. It was not. I'm sorry. It just wasn't. It just wasn't good. And the crowd was eating Christy alive. And look, she tried. She just was slotted in there way too soon. But this was not good. Being that this was Trish's, for the first of her 2 solo matches at Mania. Yeah. Not good. Not good at all. Number 20 from Mania 30. This is the Vicky Guerrero Invitational match, not Battle Royal, but match, with a whole host of women. It was for AJ Lee's Divas Championship, because AJ Lee was still champion at this time until she lost to Paige the next night. It was AJ Lee. Oksana. Remember Oksana? The one that ended up shattering Naomi's orbital socket. Ouch. Thankfully, Naomi made a full recovery. But yeah, Oksana, Alicia, Brie Bella, Cameron in the ring. Emma. Oh yeah, that's right. Emma was in this match. But they had Emma doing the bubble popping thing. Eva Marie. Yeah, Eva Marie has 2 matches at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, I just never liked Eva Marie at all. Can you tell? Layla, Naomi, Natalya, Nikki Bella, unfortunately. Rosa Mendez got a match at WrestleMania. Summer Rae, Tamina. Yeah. This was also put on right after the Undertaker streak got broken. So, hey, ladies, we just sucked all the oxygen out of this crowd. Go and get them back into it. And you have about 10 minutes. See ya! Seriously, I think the intros were actually longer than the goddamn match. What the fuck? There's no way the women could succeed here, even with the talented ones. Some of the ones that weren't all that talented. Honestly, what the fuck was this? Natalya did do a cool double sharpshooter spot. That was nice. AJ Lee ended up getting the victory. Vicky wasn't happy. This was one of Vicky's last appearances on the show. I don't think she was around much longer. But yeah, you had some women that shouldn't have been in the ring, and then you had quite a few women that should have been featured a whole lot better than they were. It was pretty shit. And especially for the fact that they put them out right after the Undertaker streak got broken. My God, that was fucking terrible. Then we go number 19, Melina versus Ashley in a Lumberjill match at Mania 23. Ashley Mazzaro tried. She was also very injured quite often. I believe they put her out there too quickly after suffering. It was a shin injury or a tibia injury. Something like that. She had a metal plate in her leg. And she should have they probably should have given her more time to recover, but they didn't want to. They had invested a lot of money in her, and they wanted like, hey, you're in Playboy, this kind of stuff, all this stuff. Hey, get out there and wrestle. And she was probably hampered by that injury. And also Melina was out there, and I'm sure they wanted to have a good match. It was about 3.5 minutes, and no one cared. And it's just unfortunate. I'm ranking this one a little bit higher because at least the women tried. And I'm not saying the women didn't try in the previous matches, or at least most of them. Sable sure as fuck didn't. But this is where, okay, things are like, we're almost out of the bad. Or at least the stuff that was pretty, throwaway. Now we're getting into stuff that's a little bit better. But yeah, felt bad for Melina and Ashley here. And then we get for number 18, Naomi versus Alexa Bliss versus Becky Lynch versus Carmella versus Mickey versus Natalya for the SmackDown Women's title at Mania 33. Naomi had won the title at Elimination Chamber from Alexa, had to relinquish it due to an injury, was able to come back. I don't know why they didn't just let Naomi keep the title. They let Brock keep the title for about 16 goddamn years and not defend it. So why the hell couldn't Naomi keep it for over a month? So Naomi was a 2-time SmackDown Women's Champion. And it was unnecessary because she should have just defended the title here. But that being said, the intros were longer than this match. This match was like 6 minutes. And they tried everything they could, but this Mania was already about 7 hours as it is. One, AJ versus Shane should have not been happening at all. And if it did, it should have had 5 minutes cut off of it. Cut off 5 minutes, give it to this match. Because the women did deserve a whole lot better than this, and they didn't get that. Yes, I'm even saying Carmella deserved better than this, at least at this point. That's before the grave mistake that she made, allegedly. Now, number 17, Alicia, Layla, Maurice, Michelle McCool, and Vicky. Yeah, Vicky was actually in a match at Mania. Versus Beth, Eve Torres, Gail Kim, Kelly Kelly, and Mickey. Gail Kim was in a throwaway 10-woman tag match. Yeah, this was bad, and Vicky won with a frog splash tributing Eddie, and probably wanted a wall built around it. Yeah, I'm going to knock Vicky for that, because Vicky just pissed on Eddie's legacy by saying that. Good job. Good job, you dumb bitch. But by the way, let's get back to the matches. Yeah, that was a pretty throwaway 10-woman tag match. Really sad, given the fact that there was a lot of talent involved. Maybe except for Kelly. Kelly Kelly tried. Oh yeah, more Kelly Kelly. We have Kelly Kelly and Ashley versus Beth and Melina in a Bunny Mania Lumberjill match. Bunny Mania Lumberjill match. And they wonder why people didn't care for the women's wrestling, when there were some great women's wrestlers there. You had Melina and Beth. Sometimes sometimes friends, sometimes foes. And they wondered why the matches weren't taken that seriously. Vince, you fucking moron. That's what you get for hiring Kevin Dunn and keeping him on there. Stupid Bucky Beavertooth motherfucker. Never deserved to be in the wrestling business. But back to the women. It was what it was. Ashley at this point was still dealing with some injuries and stuff like that. I mean, I don't think she really recovered that much from that leg injury. But she wasn't given time to heal. It was what it was. This was... Mania 24 was fraught with problems, especially that power outage that they suffered there in the middle of it. Yeah, that wasn't very good. This match was kind of throwaway. And speaking of throwaways, let's get to number 15. Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss at Mania 34 for the Raw Women's title. One, the reason this is up this high is because Alexa carried this match. She carried this. She bumped around like crazy. Made Nia look way better than Nia ever could, because Nia Jax isn't very good. But, well, at least it happened. Nia won, and whatever. She won a title she didn't deserve, but I digress. So let's just move on from that. Number 14, AJ Lee and Paige versus the Bellas at Mania 31. I loathe putting the Bellas aside, because I don't like the Bellas. I don't. I don't want anything bad to happen to them. I don't want them in the ring anymore. But there are some people that take it way too far or everything, or feel like they're the worst thing to happen to wrestling ever. No. Maybe one of the most popular worst things to happen, but let's just move on from that. It was a decent tag match for what it was. I mean, Nikki wasn't even defending her title. That was a big problem with what they did with Nikki's title reign, is they're like, well, it's supposed to be important. You're not treating it like it's important. All the title matches are pretty much fucking throwaways. Or they're hyped with like 2 weeks notice, and you wonder why the fans don't care. But yeah, AJ Lee and Paige won. At least there's that. Number 13, Kelly Kelly and Maria Menounos versus Beth and Eve. Maria Menounos was competing, I believe, with cracked ribs. And did pretty well. Maria Menounos actually deserves quite a bit of credit for being a celebrity, training hard, and doing pretty damn well. And she took it seriously. That's pretty goddamn nice. And Beth and Eve were there for everything and helped, move Maria around and everything to his inexperience in the ring, but did well and everything. And it wasn't a great match, but it was a good match for what it was. I mean, it was certainly better than the previous one that I mentioned, the Playboy Bunny Mania, Lumberjill match. Not that was necessarily terrible, it just wasn't great. This at least featured some good moves and stuff like that. Maria did pretty well. And Beth and Eve are two that often get forgotten about as being pretty good. Then we go to number 12. Alundra Blaze versus Alani Kai at Mania 10. First women's match at a Mania since Mania 2 that I mentioned earlier. And yeah, it was throwaway. I don't think Alani Kai really was wrestling all that much at that point. I think she retired pretty soon after this. And, it was what it was. Alundra won. It was like a 3.5, 4-minute match. So it was pretty throwaway, but still, it was decent for what it was. And then we get to number 11, Victoria versus Molly Holly at Mania 20 for the women's title. It was a women's title versus Molly Holly's hair. Okay. Molly Holly was willing to get her head shaved to get a women's match on the main show, to get it on the Mania card. That's why you put her in the goddamn Hall of Fame. She's willing to put her hair on the fucking line. She was willing to do anything for the goddamn business. And I do want to say, now, I mean, this is totally random, but she looked good bald and she looked good with hair. Didn't matter. Her and Victoria, it was a good match for what it was. It was kind of treated like throwaway, but the women did work hard, and Molly selling the whole thing, getting her head shaved, that was pretty funny. So it was now just outside the top 10, because now we get to the top 10. China versus Ivory at Mania 17. It was mainly a squash match. Like, I mean, you had China selling her neck injury, which may or may not have been legit. I never really found that out. And Ivory was like trying to beat her down and everything, but China pretty much just dominated, beat Ivory up, and then pinned her. And China became the women's champion on pretty much the best WrestleMania of all time. Arguably, even though I still think it is. But yeah, China won. There we go. Held title for a couple months and then unfortunately had a rough exit from the company. But yeah, then we get into the top 10 fully with the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal at Mania 34. Look, I know it seems weird I'm ranking this aside, but at least there were some good moments with NXT appearances, Bayley and Sasha, and some other women that were doing really well here. At least it was that. There was some good stuff there. Naomi winning was odd, especially considering they forgot about her women's title shot, seemingly, or at least if she got, I don't remember her getting it, but it was entertaining, and it was good, and the women tried really hard here, so yeah, it was featured on the pre-show, but it was still good for what it was. Number 8, Wendy Richter versus Alani Kai at Mania 1. Rock and Wrestling Connection, Cyndi Lauper, all that stuff and everything. And Wendy Richter getting the title. Good stuff. I really enjoyed this. I really did enjoy this. Not fantastic, but one of the biggest moments of Mania 1. One of the biggest moments of the first 5 Manias. Because Wendy Richter was getting really hot at that point. Alani Kai was a good worker. They put on as solid of a match as they could, especially considering women's wrestling was still seen as a novelty act in the 80s. So yeah, there we go with that. Now we go to number 7 is Bayley versus Nia versus Charlotte versus Sasha at Mania 33. This should have been where Bayley won the title. And it was not when she won the title. They did not do that thing. They had her win it on off Raw for no goddamn reason to take all the momentum out of this match. Now, it was an elimination match. And when it got down, when Bayley ended up winning, it was great. It was great that she won. My issue is that Nia Jax did not belong in this match. You should have just had it be Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte. I'm sorry, Nia never belonged in this match. You don't need to give her a title shot because she doesn't fucking deserve it. She didn't deserve it then. She doesn't deserve it now. But it was also, it was a good way, I guess, to get some heat, even though Charlotte pretty much was a heel by that point. This was Charlotte and Sasha kind of blowing up their feud and all this and whatever, but it was still a really good match, and Bayley gained the victory. Was nice. Now we get to number 6. Maybe this is a bit controversial, but I'm putting Ronda and Angle versus Stephanie and Triple H for Mania 34 this high. It was a fantastic match, and I will say this. I don't like Stephanie. I don't think Stephanie's that good, but I will say the credit goes to her for working really goddamn hard and selling like crazy for Ronda. And, being a chicken shit heel and this kind of stuff. And the pacing of this match was electric. And Ronda squaring up with Stephanie, but also squaring up with Triple H and being there for every single thing. May not like Ronda personally. She's a fucking idiot and a Sandy Hook denier, but good God, did she perform well in this ring. She did perform well in this ring, and it was really good stuff, and her getting the tap out on Stephanie was the icing on the cake. So for women's wrestling here, I will say for a debut match, this deserves to be that high. Some people may not like that I include the mixed tag matches, but it's my list, my rules, and it's for fun. Now we get to number 5, Trish versus Lita versus Jazz at Mania 18. Trish in her home country, well, actually pretty much hometown, Toronto, Canada, but in her home country, Canada, and good match. It was a really good match. It wasn't quite the best triple threat match, as we're going to get to that here in a bit. But Trish, Lita, and Jazz really did cut a good pace here. It was very, very well done. The moves were nice. The fact that this is the closest we got to a Trish Lita match at Mania is really sad. But it was good stuff. And even at Mania 18, even when it was a long show and the crowd was exhausted from some of the matches, these ladies put on a hell of a performance, and Trish was super over. But Trish would end up winning the match, or winning the title, at the next match that I have. Number 4, Victoria versus Trish versus Jazz at Mania 19. In Seattle, I did not go to this. I was in a bad car accident, suffered a massive concussion, and was unfortunately unable to get tickets. I'm disappointed I wasn't able to go, but at the same time, whatever. But I digress. This was really good stuff. Trish gained a big ovation. Victoria coming in as champion. Jazz, sure, there were a couple quibbles. I think there was one point where Jazz fell off the apron when she wasn't supposed to, but mistakes happen. That happens, and the women still recovered. The women still recovered and did well. Stevie Richards ended up clunking himself in the head with a chair when he tried to help Victoria, because Stevie Richards and Victoria were, well, an on-screen item at this point. They were an off-screen item, great for Stevie Richards, because Victoria is ageless. Seriously, I don't know how in the world she still looks that good. As good as she did even back in 2002. Age apparently does not hit her at all. Good for her. But it was a very, very good match, and the women did wonderfully. It was great stuff, Trish winning. And then we get to number 3, Mickie versus Trish at Mania 22. Well, besides Mickie grabbing Trish's stratosphere and doing the V symbol and everything, pissing Vince off, I don't know why, because it was good heat. This was really good stuff. It was, the Chicago crowd was sick of Trish and cheering Mickie, Bizarro World as they call it, but God, oh, the crowd just cheering Mickie, and Mickie soaking it all up. No, that is not a euphemism, because she was absolutely enjoying it, and the crazy character thing, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It was just such great stuff. I almost ranked this number 2, but I couldn't, because I have a reason for why I ranked the top 2 matches where I did. But this was such great stuff. My God, Mickie and Trish cutting such a great pace. And yes, okay, the finish was a little fluky, but Mickie still got the win. And, you know, I think, God, what was it, JR? I think I said the Psycho won the title. I don't know why that popped me, but it just did. Number 2, Asuka versus Charlotte at Mania 34. I hate that Asuka's streak got broken here, but they want to establish Charlotte. I will say this is a way to do it, and Asuka did put her over afterwards. And put her over in the match, too. And it wasn't like Asuka was just a crash test dummy for Charlotte. Both women did really well and chopped each other, did some great shit. Of course, they did a spot on the apron, which, as we know, is the hardest part of the ring. But also, this was just a great match. And I was disappointed when Asuka tapped out, because I remember watching, I'm just like everybody, I think, was collectively shocked. I remember on Twitter, everybody was collectively shocked. And a lot of other people must have enjoyed the review, because, little cheap plug, the Mania 34 review did like about 1,600 views, which for my little channel is pretty goddamn nice. But Asuka versus Charlotte, so if you want to know what myself and the Durbanairs' reactions initially were, check out that review. We had a whole lot of fun. This was just such a great match, though. It really was. Even with Asuka's streak being broken, it was so terrific. But number 1, Becky versus Sasha versus Charlotte at Mania 32. The match of Mania 32. Fucking fight me over that. Because it was better than the ladder match, even though the ladder match was good. And sure as fuck was better than Reigns versus Triple H. It was the best match of Mania. Easily. This was better than any match at Mania 33, even though that 4-way match was pretty good. This was so tremendous. It was for the inaugural WWE Women's Championship. They were getting rid of the Divas Championship, and that's great. And Lita introduced it and all that stuff, and Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte cutting a great pace, doing some great stuff, showing the world how women's wrestling could matter in WWE, even though Impact and Shimmer and Shine and other company, well, Shimmer in particular, I mean, I don't know how long Shine's been around, but Stardom, you know, a whole bunch of women have been cutting their teeth and everything and doing really well, showing that women's wrestling could matter on this stage. The women stole the goddamn show. And I really, you guys can say whatever you want in the comments. I would actually love to hear from you guys. But to me, the best women's match at a WrestleMania so far. Now, could Becky, Charlotte, and Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda be better? Probably. But I can't see into the future. So that's the matches right here. So that's what I have to say. Do you agree? Do you disagree with what I said? Make sure to leave some comments. Like, share, and subscribe. And my Twitter handle's in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you soon.